are on the beat.
Big Smosa.
Are you looking for an avenue to blast your brand? Why not let us be your detonator at High Impact Radio 102.1 FM with Got You Covered. For advert placement, sponsorship, partnership, call us on 0706 393 5694 0915 958 1881 0902 745 3931 or send an email to info@highimpactstudio.com.
Join us Mondays to Fridays, 7:05 a.m. for newspaper reviews, headlines, analysis, and comments on your urban lifestyle station. High Impact 102.1 FM.
Lagos, welcome to the newspaper review. A very, very good morning to you. Top of the morning. It's going to be a top morning for every one of us listening to the sound of my voice. It's another Wednesday. August the 30th, 2023. I want to say welcome to the newspaper review. My name is Afyong Ayani. And really, the news, the stories on the dailies just will not go away. As every day we see different stories, we get different stories every day of the week. And really, we want to make sense of it all on newspaper review. You know how we do it? We stream live on YouTube at Impact 102.1 FM and also on Twitter. You can call it X on Hex at Impact 1021 FM. Lagos. I mean, the stories on the dailies this morning, I really don't know what to say, but I'm just like, smiling before I came on air, like, what is going on? Because really, I've been frowning when I look at the papers. I really frown, but this time around, I'm like, okay, really, there's no cause to frown because you frown every day of the week. If you look at the papers and you see some news that are really not palatable, you want to frown. Like, seriously, you want to frown like me, but it's okay. I really would not do that today. I won't do that today because, it's a lot. But hey, before I get to the papers, I would like to take this short break. When we come back, it'll be time for me to dive deep into the stories and the front pages of the headlines. And remember, you can actually send in your messages. You tell us what exactly you like about the papers, what caught your attention, what you really want to talk about. You can send us message on 0907 224 5018, or you can send a message. Or rather, not send a message. You can send it on 0907 224 5018, SMS or WhatsApp. And also, you can call me on 0700 1021 1021. You want to make sense of the papers when I start taking it all along. Yeah, you can actually call in or send a WhatsApp message. Before I dive into the papers, I just want to take the short break. I'll be right back. Don't touch your dial.
Do you know bad production can kill a great content idea?
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity, let's help you take it high.
And out of this world with our state-of-the-art equipment and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881. High Impact Studios, the future.
Join us Mondays to Fridays at 7:05 a.m. to 8 a.m. for freshly baked stories on the newspaper review at High Impact 102.1 FM. Follow us on social media at High Impact 102.1 FM or call 0700 1021 1021. You can also send WhatsApp messages to 0907 224 5018. High Impact 102.1 FM, your urban lifestyle station.
That's right. We are your urban lifestyle station. Once again, welcome to the newspaper review. You already know. If you don't know, you're just tuning in. My name is Afyong Ayeni. This is Impact Radio 102.1 FM. We are making sense of the papers this beautiful morning. And yes, I have 4 papers to really dissect this morning. And also remember, we have analysts in the house that will be coming in to talk to us about some of the stories making the rounds on the front pages of the newspaper. The Guardian is saying on the top story, the big headline here is saying in the Guardian newspaper, CBN BDCs on coalition course as Forex black market premium widens. Central Bank of Nigeria and Bureau de Change on collusion course as Forex black market premium widens. You can read that story up on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And here's a graphic here, very interesting one at that. Naira loses 41% value. YTD as premium between dollar widens by 19%. This is a story indeed. I really needed to pause. If I have time, I'll really give you a breakdown of the Naira and the dollar exchange rate from the times of Obasanjo up to now. Yes, I would have loved to give you a breakdown of that. But let's move over to yet another story. You already know that CBN BDCs, that's Bureau de Change on coalition courses as FX black market premium widens. You can read that story up on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper as Naira loses 41% value YTD as premium between dollar widens by 19%. You can see the graphic YTD and the changes. Yes, the change. That's 40.7. That's for Nigeria. We have other countries as the United States, 18.6. We have other countries, Jamaica, 9.6. I mean, this is all right. Okay, let me move over to yet another story on the Guardian. Police disrupts gay marriage, arrest 67 guests in Delta State. The story, you can read it up on page 8. Police disrupt gay marriage, arrest 67 guests in Delta. Reps Pro panel denies a bribery allegation, summons VCs. Reps Pro panel denies bribery allegation, summons VCs. Can read that story up on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. Away from that story, we'll move to yet another one. Insecurity. Niger proposes amnesty to bandits. Okay, this should be Niger. Okay, Niger proposes amnesty to bandits. You can read that story up on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. Away from that, an army of retired active generals still recruiting. I love this. An army of retired active generals still recruiting. If you want to know what that story is all about, just read up on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. An army of retired active generals. I know of that one. That, they are retired, but they're not tired. They're really, really very active, and they can give us some form of succor when it comes to our security aids. Will I say security experts? Security protocols. Yes, security words. These active generals though they retired, but they have some things to offer us as a nation. And I think at this point, the federal government should look into this and see how they can really put this active retired generals into work, like by giving us their experiences to solve our situation, the insecurity that's plunged us this deep in Nigeria. Yes, very, very, very awesome. I think at this point, if the federal government look into this, and how many of retired active generals, some of them were even retired in kind of way that they were not supposed to be retired. But let's leave that story for another day. Let me move to yet another one. The private sector okays Tinubu's reforms, 6 input in federal government's 8-point agenda. Private sector okays Tinubu's reforms, 6 input in federal government's 8-point agenda. Yes, it's no story. It's no news that the 8-point agenda of the president has been, released already, and people have so much more to say, and everybody's looking at it in different direction. I really don't want to put that, if we have time, to break that down with our guest. All right, let me move away from that story. Federal government promises completion of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway by mid-September. Federal government promises completion of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway by mid-September. Is this story not really stale in a kind of way? Hear it again and again and again and again and again. But this is what the federal government is saying. They will complete the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway by mid-September. That's the second week in the month of September. That's next month. All right, that story is on page 7, and that's all I can take on the Guardian newspaper. All right, away from the Guardian newspaper, let's move over to the Daily Trust newspaper. Despite flood alerts, states yet to evacuate citizens. Despite flood alert, states yet to evacuate citizens. That's a big story on the Daily Trust newspaper, and it has several riders. Rice farm submerged in Taraba. Residents vacate homes. NIWA deploys boats for rescue operation. Build new location for evacuation. Action Aid tells governors. The flood alert has been on for a while now, and yes, it's really happening at very highs, with some states already looking all flooded up, with the rice farms submerged in water. This, I would call it deja vu, like I always do. I mean, last year we had something similar in December. No, first week of December, the last week in the month of November last year, there were flood in Bayelsa, in some part of Nigeria, and you can see a huge farm of rice being submerged in water. Millions of naira lost. Our governors were running helter-skelter, trying to, make reason or make state of the situation, and make the government or the federal government get them, all sorted out with funds and all of that. But at the end of the day, I think at this point, there is no lessons being learnt by some of the state governors. Every time they tell us about flood alert, and federal government, or rather the state government, should do something to avert this. Just do something to avert all of this. Because if you don't do nothing, at the end of the day, the people will suffer. The state will suffer. Look at this in Taraba alone. Rice farms submerged in water due to the flood. and residents have to evacuate their homes. Oh, how nice. Really? All right, let me leave that one for another analysis if we can have that. I mean, okay, all right. Let me leave that. 6 die, others injured as building collapses at Bornu IDP camp. That story is on page 26 of the Daily Trust newspaper. 6 die, others injured as building collapses at Bornu IDP camp. Away from that, Wike appears on APC PDP campaign cancels for Bayelsa governorship poll. All right, this is it. Wike appears on APC PDP campaign cancels for Bayelsa governorship poll. Really reiterating the question one of the journalists asked him while it was inaugurated and when taking the oath of office, and he addressing pressmen and women when they asked him that which flag will you be flying? Is it the PDP or the APC? He said, does that matter? I'm talking about FCTU. Does that matter? You're talking about flag, which flag I'm flying with. Is the flag very important? And right now we're seeing that Wike appears on APC PDP campaign cancels for Bayelsa governorship poll. Alright, he has 2 parties, I guess. You can read that story up on page 18 of the Daily Trust newspaper. All right, away from that, Tinubu appoints new NDDC board management. This story really broke out yesterday and it's on the papers. You can read that story up on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Police storm gay marriage venue in Delta, arrest couple, 65 others. That story on page 16. Nigerian equities beats 15-year record, eats 66,490 basis point. Oh, wow. That story is on page 19 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Algeria proposes 6 months transition to resolve Niger crisis. Sounds very interesting. Very interesting. All right. You can read that story up on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And lastly, on the Daily Trust, NNPP factions differ over Kwankwaso suspension, builds Charles expulsion. All right. Read that story up if you want on page 10 of the Daily Trust newspaper. That's much I can take on the Daily Trust newspaper. I would like to take this one before I introduce our guest. I will be making sense of the papers. Remember, you can watch us live on YouTube at impact102.1 FM and also on X or Twitter at impact1021 FM. You can send us your messages and some of the stories that caught your attention this beautiful morning on 0907-224-5018 or call us on 0700-1021-1021. To the Punch newspaper, the big headline is saying fuel queues eat Lagos. Others as thieves vandalize pipelines. Fuel queues eat Lagos. Others as thieves vandalize pipelines. Okay. You can read that story up on page 19. And it has marketers hold petrol loading, blame vendors for disruption. More filling station short as import ECOPS ought supply. More filling station short as import ECOPS ought supply. This is a very trying times for Nigerians. Indeed, that's all I can say on this particular one until I bring in my guest. Yes, we're making sense of some of the stories making the front pages of the dailies this morning. Away from that story, let's move over to yet another. Cameroon dam opening. 700 billion naira CBN farmers loan under threat in Florida states. 700 billion naira CBN farmers loan under threat in Florida state. You can read that story up on page 2. You talk about flood in 204 Niger communities. Or Niger communities. 17 displaced. Panic in Benue, Anambra. Yes, panic for flood, as it has hit other states already. Let me move away from that story. Niger, Algeria demands 6 months transition from junta. 6 months, and they're talking about three years, but Algeria is actually demanding 6 months from the junta. That's 6 month transition into democratic dispensation and as administration, if you can call it that way. But I think the Junters are actually looking at a bidding for 3 years. They want to settle down, get their government started, and look at the way forward for their people before, thinking of actually, and enough or throwing in the towel. But it's all good. It's all good. Let me move away from that story. Lagos Ibadan Expressway. Federal government blames September inauguration. That story is on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. I never diverted Ogun. LG's funds that's 10.8 billion naira bailout. Since the story broke out, everyone has been calling me and sending me stuff for me to get to the details of this particular one. The Ogun State governor is on fire for let's say allegedly siphoning the local government funds and not really doing for the local government what he's supposed to do. And this story has been everywhere. Maybe I'll just come back to the story with my guest and give you the breakdown of everything. Seriously, after you have to see this. That's what they've been calling me and been telling me since yesterday. And I'm like, okay, I'll look at it again. All right, a man unleashes dog and policeman to evade arrest. That story is on page 5 of the Punch newspaper. And lastly, NNPP divided over Tinubu, Atiku, function, suspend Kwankwaso, others. Page 14 of the Punch newspaper. That's much I can take on the Punch newspaper. All right, I'll be off on a break. Yes, I'll be off on a break. But hey, you can actually send in your messages, your thought on the stories making the rounds this morning on 0907-224-5018. Also call in on 0700-1021-1021. When I come back, we have a guest really analyzing and giving us a top analysis of the story and giving us his reaction as well. I really want to know what he has to say on some of the stories making the headlines this beautiful morning. Don't touch your dial. Keep it locked. Newspaper Review. Be right back.
Do you know bad production can kill a great content idea?
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity, let's help you take it high.
And out of this world with our state-of-the-art equipment and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881. High Impact Studios, the future.
Are you looking for an avenue to blast your brand? Why not let us be your detonator at High Impact Radio 102.1 FM with Gachi Cover. For advert placement, sponsorship, partnership, call us on 0706 393 5694 0915 958 1881 0902 745 3931 or send an email to info@highimpactstudio.com.
Join us Mondays to Fridays at 7:05 a.m. to 8 a.m. for freshly baked stories on the newspaper review at High Impact 102.1 FM. Follow us on social media at High Impact 102.1 FM or call 0700 1021 1021. You can also send WhatsApp messages to 0907 224 5018. High Impact 102.1 FM, your urban lifestyle station.
Yes, we are your urban lifestyle station. Welcome to the newspaper review once again. Yes, we've been taking stories on the dailies this beautiful morning. And yes, I have my guest already with me. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Dr. Mr. Session Okunade. Oh, forgive me, pardon me.
Yeah.
How are you doing this morning?
Afternoon.
How are you doing?
Great. Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning. And good morning to all our listeners at midweek. Trust you get great, and I'm sure you have relaxed the frowning on your face because of the headlines that you have in the paper.
All right. I really, today, I thought to myself I was not going to frown because, I mean, the story is just overwhelming. Each day, there is really nothing to celebrate when it comes to economy, security, and whatnot in our nation. And it gives me a cause to worry. Just take a look at the Punch newspaper talking about few queues eating Lagos. Others as thieves vandalize pipelines. That story alone, I don't know if you've seen that story already, but I really want to have your take on this one. Few queues eat Lagos.
Yeah. Yeah. What I have to say to that is let's have it at the back of our mind that globally there are challenges with every economy. It's not peculiar to our country, but what each government is trying to do is to see how to domesticate the problem and see how they can solve it, not going the route of what others are doing. And I think on the part of our nation, that is an area we need to concentrate on and see how to domesticate our problem. We all know how strategic petroleum is to our businesses. Like I would say, is a form of transportation. The key form of transportation we have is by road. Also, when you talk about power, you discover that petroleum products are key even to this. So it's like a major contributing factor to the growth of the economy and the success of every businesses, if we must go by that. So with what we have heard, the vandals, perpetrating their ills, it's part of what we have shared that what is our security apparatus doing. We are not ignorant of some of these tricks of these vandals. We should try as much as possible to protect the assets of the government, and that's what their primary duty is all about. We should not be reactive to issues, but be proactive. So you discover that the vandals study the security operatives and look at the best time to eat. But if it is something that is we have 24 hours, 7 surveillance on, it will manage it. You can imagine you returning back to Lagos, which is a commercial nerve center of the nation. It's going to create a lot of hardship. Before now, everybody has been struggling in payment of transportation fee, which has gone up because of the hike in the price of petroleum product. And if you look at the way the commercial buses buy their fuel, they don't buy, nobody goes ahead to buy full tank. You buy what can take you to the next area where you can get the next filling station. That's what everybody is doing because the purchasing power is pretty low. So I want to take on the security apparatus to please be proactive in protecting the assets. And at times, if they are able to lay hands on some of these vandals, they are not agents, they are not in from the moon. They should be decisively dealt with in such a way that it will serve as deterrent to order. Let's make public shame of some of these vandals so that our assets can be protected and we can have the sign of relief. It's not the best time where we'll be having scarcity again because of vandals. We already eat with the issue of hike in price, and that should not be another contributing factor where the marketers will not be able to load from the tank farm because of the vandalism that has been carried out. So it's disheartening, but we only encourage the citizens to look at the other area, because part of the advice is do not allow the problem of the nation to overwhelm you in such a way that when the better days that we are hopeful ahead comes, you will not be caught napping, nipped down or eat down by sicknesses that will not allow you to enjoy the benefit of those good things that we await in the future. For me, I believe so much in the country. There might be challenges now, turbulence now, but there are great days ahead.
Okay, great days ahead indeed. Let's move over to yet another story. Talking about the Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun. in, will I say mess, talking about diversion of funds for local government. And, it's been everywhere. What can you really say about this particular story? The bailout funds has not been utilized properly for local government. And yes, it's been everywhere. It's out there that people are not happy. The residents in Ogun State are not happy about this. And yeah, the governor came out to say he did not divert any funds. What's your reaction on that story?
Afyon, in this kind of situation, you need to be fact-based. I read the story of both parties, and I think there are more questions to be answered. Those that came out with the fact that funds were being diverted, they are right in their context, in the sense that if those money are meant for local government palliative or for the grassroots encouragement, I feel local government is in the best interest to disburse those things. And if the fund is not coming to them, they need to raise eyebrow. The other reaction we are getting from the governor that such fund has not been diverted is to come out to tell us that, okay, fine, the fund is currently at so place, or these are things we have actually used those things. I've not seen the breakdown of it. We are only reacting that those that have raised the allegation are just unscrupulous elements in the state to discredit the work that the state government is doing. But I have this to say that Ogun State needs to up their game. I have been looking at an opportunity where they are closer to the commercial nerve center. If they have the good quality of development expected of them, Ogun State should be the residential area to abort the commercial nerve center. And they have a lot of industries in their area which I expect to generate good revenue for them in terms of IGR. But when you compare their revenue compared to Lagos, it's still far from it. And then you ask yourself the question, are they maximizing the potential that they have made up? If you go through Abeokuta to some areas in Ijebu, there are a lot of multinational factories that their payee alone can match up with what we have here in Lagos. But the question is, how much are they maximizing that? They should be as developed as Lagos State, but I can tell you that it's still far from it. Like it's obtainable in the developed world. You see people staying in Ogun State and working in Lagos, except for maybe Moweba, for who is very much closer here. There should have been a connectivity between Ogun and Lagos. I don't know how much we are maximizing the use of the rail system provided by the federal government that moves from Lagos to Ibadan always. How Ogun State has been able to tap into that to decongest Lagos, populate their side, and allow more internally regenerated revenue via payee. Because what taxation is all about is your place of residence. So when you have more people residing in your place, Lagos State will enjoy the taxes that are accruable via the companies that reside here, where they benefit more of the payee that resides in their state. So I think Ogun State still have a lot to do in growing and tapping into the commercial nerve center that they are very close with for the development of their state.
Yeah, that story is still ongoing, and we'll look at it till the end and see what comes out from that story. Talking about the unscrupulous element, I don't think some of them or some of the people who raise this concern are really unscrupulous, because the Honorable, let me put this out there, Honorable Asiwaju Akinloye Banko is a publicity secretary, PDP Ogun State, is also looking at the fact that this particular sum of money, 10.5 billion naira, has really been diverted, and he urged the EFCC and DSS to look into the situation and find out what that money was actually used for by the governor. I really wanted to put all of that out.
Afyon, why I said that is the word used by the Ogun State government, that there are people that want to discredit their government, not having the facts at hand. That is their word. It's not actually my word.
Okay, let's leave that and move to another story. NNPP divided over Tinubu Atiku faction suspend Kwankwaso others. NNPP divided over Tinubu Atiku as faction suspend Kwankwaso others. When the story broke out, sir, what was your reaction to this?
We know what actually has been going on since the last presidential election. NNPP was the fourth on the list after the release of the election of February 25. After Labour Party was NNPP. The three people, the second, third, and fourth, were used to be under PDP.
Yes.
But I think because of misunderstanding, divided and went their individual way to see how they can clinch to power. But after the election, we read about the meeting of Kwankwaso and Tinubu in France, discussing things that even led to Ganduje, querying certain things that the current president was doing before he was inaugurated. But be that it may, I think things did not work out the way the current president and NNPP founder planned, and he seems to retire back to his base, which is PDP. So we've been hearing discussion between them, Atiku and Obi, on how to move things forward. But don't forget that at the first instance that he was having a romance with Asiwaju, there were a lot of people that were already told that path of thinking that they will follow the APC, and now it's another romance with this thing. So it's something that I was expecting that division would come up amidst the followers. Because definitely it is not a party that consolidated on its own ideology. It is just an issue that happened in PDP that necessitated the birth of NNPP, which Kwankwaso founded. And now that it's not having a steady or a stable alliance with either PDP or APC, you should expect division in his heart, because those people that are following him too, they have their own personal affiliation, but were respecting the leader of the party. Now that the leader is between the red, blue, and the red sea and the blue sea, not knowing whether to follow APC or PDP, those loyalists to that party will definitely find their own on personal ground. That's why we are saying situation where some faction, not in our faction. Before now, NNPP used to be one body, but now there are factions. So it's a faction that is actually, penalizing the founder, saying that they have suspended him. But you ask yourself the question, how is it possible for members of party to come out and kick away the founder? That is the death of that party, if you ask me. Because if the founder is out of the game, he has a vision, he understands it. Even though he must have shared it with people, you don't take away the founder. So he's the founding father of NNPP. It's not like every other party where you have people come together to actually consolidate on the thing. NNPP is Kwankwaso, Kwankwaso is NNPP. So if they are suspending him from the party, then I see that party, becoming irrelevant in the scheme of things as Kwankwaso reverts back to PDP as the current PC.
All right, let's look at the Vanguard newspaper. There's a story that caught my attention now this beautiful morning. Our federal government votes 825.8 million naira to compensate Abuja indigenes, as the President Bola Tinubu's administration has announced 825.8 billion naira compensation for the indigenes of the Jiwa community in Abuja. That's the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, made the announcement after a negotiation meeting with his counterpart in the Ministry of Aviation, Festus Keyamo. Wike stated that the 825.8 billion naira compensation was to pay off the indigenes who would be giving up their lands for the construction of the 4.2-kilometer second runway at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. Do you think, sir, this is really a good step by the federal government? I mean, you actually take someone's land, you actually compensate them immediately and let them go off. Is Wike working? Is the new minister working?
Yeah, it's. I think it's the right step in the right direction
Okay.
in the sense that you cannot take their land and expose them to unnecessary pressure. That land belongs to them, even though we claim the federal government owns the land, but they are the residents. They are the land occupier. That the federal government is trying to make use of it for the to be an asset to the government, they need to be compensated. So I think the Minister of FCT is working. You know, it came up during the period when he said he's going to demolish houses, he's going to do this. One thing I know is if you have your documentation right with government, if they do anything interesting by demolishing your house without proper compensation, definitely you go to the court of law to challenge that and bring them. But when you do those things illegally, that's where you have problems. That's where you have issues. So I keep telling individuals that people that have done the right thing have no reason to be afraid of some of the issues, some of the words that Wike is splitting as FCT governor or FCT coordinator. The truth of it is, do the right thing. When you don't do the right thing, there are consequences for it. And we can see that at least the first one that is coming up, it's in the right direction, compensating those people and putting them at least in a place where they can have the comfort and developing it for them, so that you will not create more tension in the land that can lead to insecurity. Because when you displace them and you are not compensating them or relocating them to a place where they should be, they will constitute a threat to the environment, because it's a big thing when you displace people from their place of comfort.
Okay.
So I see it as a good step in the right direction. I hope more of that should be. And those that have done things illegally, they should just face the consequence of breeding illegality.
Okay, let's look at Tinubu's 8-point agenda. LCC High is saying if it's properly implemented, it will yield positive result on Nigerians. Do you think that will be possible? I'm looking at the fact sorry to butt in. I'm looking at the fact that the president told the ministers, look, you are here to work. If you're not ready to work, you have to go off. That means he's really ready to make Nigeria really move forward. Do you think at this juncture, the president is really submitted, he is fully prepared to take up the cause and make Nigeria better with all of the challenges and countries of problems that we have as a people? He's ready to take up with this.
Sincerely speaking, Afyong, I keep telling the video that talk is cheap. It's expediting the action. I can tell you, we have good policies in this country. Our issue has always been implementation. And when there is no political will, it's pretty difficult for anyone that is commissioned to serve or to work, either as minister, social advisor, governor, or anything. The political will must be there. And I think we are getting that signal from the president, at least for the first 100 days, with some of the things he's actually carrying out, the bold step in implementing some of the written policies that we have. So looking at the 8-point agenda for 8-point agenda for this administration, if we are able to follow to letter implementing some of these things, at least in reducing the pressure that are on the masses in terms of economic hardship, that is key, that is strategic. We saw what the Minister of Finance came out to tell us, that as we speak, there will not be borrowing. Some of the savings that they've been able to recoup from the palliative are going to be used judiciously across ministries to make life more, better for the citizen. And that's one way to go. If you are having so much savings from the subsidy that has great hardship for people, you should give them a safe landing by providing certain infrastructure. And I like to keep saying, the key areas where we want government to push some of these things are in the area of power, in the area of agriculture, in the area of health. If you are able to work these three things out, because power is germane, is strategic. If you are able to get 24 hours supply per day, some of the people that are artisans, that need power to work, that need power to grace things. The entrepreneur needs power, the education sector needs power, even for everybody to think right. You will see that we will revamp the economy. And the other aspect of it is pumping money into mechanized farming in such a way that we can have food security.
Okay.
When you have good food to eat and it's available, in surplus, then definitely you are out there to go. We know that it's imminent that when you put so much energy into place, you are challenging your health, and you have good health infrastructure, good health package, then you are good for it. These are basic things that the people that are jabbering, if you permit me to use the word, are enjoying out there. They don't complain about power. They have health facility.
And your prayer point, and the prayer points changes, and your prayer point changes, right?
Of course, what we make prayer points in Nigeria are basic things that the government provides in the developed or the Western world. Okay. So if we can trace those things, and implement them as we have actually written them out, we are good at writing. Implementation has always been the problem, and that's why we have taken up the president to look for ways to monitor the activities of the minister. Anyone that falls short of some of the promises that he has given should be show way out and allow other people that can implement some of the policy. I have to speak fantastic policy on white papers. What we need is the actual implementation of some of these things in the key areas.
Okay.
When those things are done, they will all be better off for it.
Yes, talking about the Minister of Finance and the coordinating minister, Wale Edun, talking about the fact that the president inherited, will I say bad economy from the past administration. Do you agree with that? Knowing the fact that they're the same party.
Yeah, it's the same party. But the ideology and implementation was actually not in the right sense. So if you say he inherited bad governance, it's just speaking well that there was no cohesion among the party in the last administration.
Okay.
Sincerely speaking, there were several steps that created hardship for people. Look at one of the areas. Remember, there was a change in currency that created hardship for you and I were all struggling to make things work. That was a very wrong decision.
Policy,
and it was, policy heated at the politician, but it created problem for the common man on the road. But as we speak, do you hear anyone talking about that? Even this administration has said that even the December deadline is not sacrosanct. They might still be spending the old and the new currency, simultaneously to make things work. So we discovered that there was certain policy from the last administration that was creating hardship, and this administration took the bull by the horn. Take, for example, the issue of subsidy removal. The last administration claimed that they have actually made a budget that by June that will be expunged, and it's just like setting trap for the new administration. So why didn't you remove it while you were there? They said they tried to manage that so that their party will not lose election. Now the new sheriff is in town and he has taken the bull by the horn. So there are mixed reactions to it, I must say. But the truth of it is, whether you inherit bad governance from the same party, what we are looking out for is how much work can you put in place to put things in the right track for every citizen, at least to enjoy the goodies that we have in the nation. We are blessed with natural resources. How can we annex it that every citizen will enjoy the natural gift God has endowed us with? And all we need is the political will, the right leaders doing the right thing at the right time, and the country will be great and better for it. All
right, let's move over to this one. It's like Algeria really know how to press the buttons. The Niger, the coupists, and they're saying they're looking at 6-month transition to resolve a Niger crisis. What can you say about that? 6 months. You remember the coupists, they said they wanted 3 years transition, which they can actually form a government. And right now, Algeria is proposing 6 months transition period to solve the crisis in Niger. What's your take?
Yeah, I think like we said, you can see that both party, both ECOWAS and the Niger junta are actually shifting ground in the area at which they are talking on how to resolve the whole problem.
Okay, sorry,
What we have said
sorry,
is
sir,
that-
to disrupt your line of thought right now. If the people are happy about the takeover, the military takeover, why will ECOWAS be bothered? Government is for the
yes,
people.
yeah. What ECOWAS is concerned about is they don't want a situation where most of the nations under ECOWAS will be ruled by military people. It's the failure of the politician, because that on its own poses threat to democracy that we are encouraging to be practicing in the in West Africa. So what ECOWAS is just trying to protect is that we can't continue. You know the number of countries that the military has actually taken over. Just yesterday, I think I heard about which country where they took over when they said the result of the election was failure. Not Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso has already been taken over by the military. So we have a lot of these military takeover in countries in West Africa, and it poses threats. What that is saying is that if ECOWAS is not speaking tough, what you will see is that
Well, if
those that
yes, if the government, the democratic elected government, is doing the right thing, will there be military takeover? That's the big question on my lips and also on the lips of Nigerians.
there won't be,
Okay.
but there are still approach
Okay.
that people can put in place.
Okay.
Military, you and I understand that military era are always dictatorship,
Exactly.
and that is what they are trying to take off, so that you might think that you are enjoying it,
Okay.
that the military are having their way, but know that there won't be rule of law
Okay.
to operate. Whatever the military dictate is what is binding. And even when people are suffering on that particular thing, there won't be any room for them to say anything out. And that's what ECOWAS is trying to protect. That at the beginning, it might look like, oh, we want it to be. But when you get entrenched in it, military are known for who they are. They are no respecter of rule of law. They are autocratic in their decisions.
Exactly.
The beginning is just like throwing a piece of milk to a small child to call him to yourself. When you have his heart, you can do whatever you have with it. And that's why ECOWAS is trying to protect all the nations within their purview. But there's a challenge. What is the position, or what are the politicians doing in order to earn the trust of their leaders? It's applicable across board. You must be able to win the trust of your citizens by giving them good governance and providing the basic infrastructure that can make life more meaningful. Military is not the way to go. It might look interesting at the beginning, but on the long run, with the 3 years they are actually yearning for, I can tell you that after 1 year, you will see the Nigerians, singing a different song, because once you have a military command,
That's
and
right.
it's always obey
Yeah.
the last
Obey the
command.
last
It's
command.
not like democratic setting where people have to come out and say no.
And
Like what we
protest.
are having in the country, you can come out and
And
protest.
protest.
Other military regimes, you dare not try that. They can decide to hike the price of things the way they are, and you just have to live by it. We've experienced that in our nation here,
Yeah.
and that's why the ECOWAS are trying to protect the nation. But they need to speak to the politicians to at least to do what is right, to earn the trust of the citizen, so that the rule of law can prevail as against military dictatorship that might be occurring
Oh.
when you see the takeover of
All right.
military in some of those nations.
Wow, how time flies when we're having insightful conversation and analysis from a top-notch economic and financial analyst, Session Okunade. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to actually go with this word, but the name. But you forgive me.
I'm comfortable with it.
You forgive
no,
me.
No. Afyon, I'm comfortable with it. At least you are pronouncing it the way it should be.
All
Whether
right.
Okunade or Okwade, it's
right.
one, the name, and we understand what you're trying to say. So I want to thank you for the opportunity
Thank you,
granted
sir.
this morning.
Thank you very much,
and
sir.
wishing all our listeners the best of the day. Put this at the back of the mind that you create your happiness. No one created it for you. and there is always light behind the tunnel. What we are faced with is temporal. We'll definitely get to the promised land.
We will definitely get to the promised land. That's the words of Mr. Session Okunade, economic and financial analyst, always giving us a top-notch analysis of the dailies. Thank you, sir, for coming once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, FM. The best of the day.
And you too, sir. All right, Lagos. This is much we can take on the newspaper review. Hope you made sense of some of the stories that made it to the headlines this beautiful morning. A Wednesday morning indeed. And thank you for listening to the newspaper review. Just join us again tomorrow morning. Let's do it again tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock. Don't miss out. All right, my name again is Afyong. Again, remember, like I'll use the words of you call him Dr. Mr. Session Okunade. There is light at the end of the tunnel for Nigeria. Nigeria will survive. Thank you very much.
Nigeria can survive.